Welcome back. Let's see what's new at the commodities market, especially here in Nigeria, with the research analyst at the financial derivatives company, Damilare Adeshola, who's here with me in the studio. Thanks for coming, Damilare.
Thank you for having me.
Good. So it appears the recession hasn't shut down the shopping spirits of Nigerians. I mean, we could see the record of a 48.2% jump in total sales in Nigeria. Is this a sign of an ongoing recovery in the retail space, or is this just peculiar to that particular brand?
I think so. The brand you're talking about, ShopRite, and they recorded a very, very sharp increase in their sales. But what was the reason behind the sales was the import substitution method that they adopted. And so what that did was, so we saw increase in retailers moving from selling imported products to now selling domestically produced products. And so what that really did was, so the impact of higher costs and higher import costs didn't have that much effect on them. But aside from that, it's also indicative of an ongoing trend in the retail space. So we see consumers moving from the traditional modes of shopping to more sophisticated modes like shopping malls and ShopRite, and even online shopping as well. So those are the trends. And so it was really just a move from traditional modes of shopping to more sophisticated mode. But apart from that, we also have to note that 2015, the previous year, was actually a very bad year. That's 2015 to 2016. So that's why it's really a base year effect that caused that increase to be as significant as they recorded, 48.2. I'm sure for 2018 that it would not be that high, because this year is better than the previous year.
Yes, indeed. Now let's look at the value of POS transactions. NIBS data puts it that it rose by 8% in July. Does that mean that consumers are spending more?
Not necessarily. So, I mean, what POS transactions are is just they're just a mode of settlement. So what this means is there's just been some shift. So as opposed to using cash, people are using POS transactions more. While we expect private consumption to come up in the coming months, in the full year to grow at about 4%. Apart from that, we expect that this ongoing revolution, as it were, in the retail space to continue. We see people moving from informal modes to formal modes, traditional modes, moving from cash to cashless. So these are just the trends, and it's really just being fueled by the increase in mobile penetration rate, mobile phone usage, increased access to technology. You can get smartphones for really cheap. If you go to the market, you see the market one has a smartphone. Everybody has a smartphone now. And also the increase in urbanization. So as opposed to urbanization, yes, there's the move from the city to from the rural centers to the cities. There's an increase in that flow, but at the same time, these rural centers are becoming cities on their own. So if you look at some areas like Obomoso, some 10 years ago, these areas were not considered cities, but now they have the characteristics of cities. So now that's what is pushing up our urbanization rate. So these are just the things that are causing the retail space. So there's analysts are predicting that Nigeria's retail space is expected to grow in leaps and bounds in the coming years. And so these are just some of the things that are going to drive that. Now
let's talk about the domestic commodities market. What are the current trends and developments that we've seen in recent times? So
we've seen prices sort of find their level. They've found the sort of floor, and so we expect that this will continue. Prices will remain stable, as it were. There are some exceptions. There's yam is coming down, but that's really just because in expectation of the new yam season, so people are selling the old yam at a cheaper price, and so also rice is coming down as well because of the increased forex liquidity. But generally, across board, other commodities have remained stable in the prices.
Research analyst at the financial derivatives company, Damilare Adeshola, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Well, moving on now. Moving in other stories, Egypt's government is moving Cairo's decade-old leather tannery workshops from the narrow streets of old Islamic Cairo to a new complex on the outskirts of the city. The new complex is part of a major expansion drive of a sector that it considers one of its most competitive.
Just beyond the outskirts of Cairo, on a desert road to the Suez Canal, a sprawling industrial zone is coming to life. The new complex is part of a major expansion drive of a sector Egypt considers as one of its most competitive. The Trade Ministry has set an official target for leather exports to reach over $1 billion a year in 2020, from about $200 million a year currently. Egyptian exports were given a boost when Egypt floated its pound currency last year as part of an International Monetary Fund loan program. With projects like Rubiki, Egypt hopes to pull back capital that fled after its 2011 political uprising. In the fiscal year ending in June, it netted $8.7 billion in foreign direct investment and is targeting above $10 billion this year. The head of the leather tanning industry group, Mohamed Harbi, says around 220 tanneries are being relocated to Rubiki.
Imagine that even in these haphazard conditions, we are exporting 80 to 85% of our production to around the world. Can you imagine that we export this leather to other countries where it gets made into a product and sold back here? Try and imagine what could happen if we transformed the leather into the final product for the consumer. Why don't we do this instead of importing cheap and poor quality leather from other countries? We really care about the consumer.
The factories are moving under the orders of the government, which is paying for the transfer of machinery, constructing subsidized housing for workers, and facilitating low-interest loans for businesses looking to expand. At Magra Al Hayoun, workers dye animal hides in small ramshackle buildings without infrastructure for absorbing hazardous waste byproducts.
Egypt a long time ago was a leader in leather tanning, and for a period of time everyone wanted to grow, but there's no space.
Al Rawad, one of the country's 3 largest tanneries, will complete its relocation over the next month. The company is using the space to scale up and triple exports over the next year. By mid-2018, Rubiki should house the entire supply chain, from animal slaughtering to finished leather production, allowing global manufacturers to source materials and export final goods in a single location.
This important move from the Magra Al Hayoun area to this point will completely change the nature of the craft and the product.
Foreign investors can begin buying space in Rubiki in 2018, and the zone has received strong interest from Italian companies.
And that's our program today. Thank you for watching. I am Visi Adebayo.